federal stimulus money. Well, the question could be asked, why did you use the stimulus money? Well, the federal government said that foundation budget, which was at a level, and the amount of funding that we received was below that by a certain amount of money. So the federal government made up the difference between the minimum net spending and foundation by giving the school system, in fact, one grant. It's in 3 separate pockets. You'll hear me say stimulus money. You'll hear it called ARA. It's all the same, except it's in 3 pockets. We received from the state something called SFSF, which was the stimulus funding. We received IDEA, which was specifically for special education, ARA, and we received Title I, ARA, for additional Title I programs. And the new positions, or the positions that we were able to retain, so that we didn't have to lay people off. Now with that money gone, in the FY12 budget, that's $741,000 worth of positions that you will not find in the general budget from 11 because they were paid for by federal grant money. The program of having these additional supervisors to work in our schools with our teachers is part of the evaluation and observation is $267,000. Contractual obligations, and I have a slide to show you that when we start our teachers, they start below any of the other areas around us, and they start about 37.5. Born, for instance, starts at 42. So for them to go from step 1, their first year of teaching, to step 2, to step 3, each year there's a built-in increase that has to come into the budget. That and a 1% raise that was part of the negotiated settlement comes out to that $517,000. Increase in textbooks, educational material, $154,000, and special ed tuitions for private going up, $368,000. Private school tuitions, it's one of the only areas that is not regulated. They have to go to the state for their increases, and every year they average about a 7% increase. So if the amount of money you have doesn't go up that much, then the portion that's eaten up by that line item goes up because of those increases to educate, and it is by team process and legally, we have to spend the money there. We don't have a choice. Okay. The first, on your 1 page where it says District Leadership and Administration, these are the accounts, and the paperwork that I gave you shows a 4-digit number, and that's where you'll find the 1110, 1430, 1210, 1410, and 1450. That's what makes up the 1,000 accounts or administration, and that's how we come up with those totals. The 2,000 are the instructional services and is the largest part of the budget. That's that 77% that I showed you. And again, we have the 4 digits down the left, what the account stands for, and then we have what was in 11, what's in 12, what the difference is, and looking for large differences. Perhaps the 2021-10 curriculum office as part of a plan that we had to give to the state, saying that we are going to help schools that are in need of improvement, we had to come up with a way of pre and post testing students. So the testing materials that are needed makes up approximately this $29,000, as well as some additional instructional materials. But it is about the assessment there. We have a half of a tech para that was added at the high school. Classroom teachers, again, that shows any of the changes. That's the money from the grants that have gone away, as well as any increases, make up the $917,000. And the instructional leaders that we talked about under supervision, the $266,775. All right, here's a slide that shows Bachelor Step 1, beginning, somebody with just a bachelor's degree and no teaching experience coming into the school system. Wareham this year is at $37,466. And Bourne, Carver, Marion, Middleborough. Masters, 30, top step. That means they've been in they have 30 credits beyond their master's degree, and they have 25 years of experience. They get to that line. So we are much more in line with people at the end of the line than we are at the beginning. But since 50% of our staff now are in their first 11 years because we've had a lot of retirements, that's why that line item continues to increase yearly. Here's a chart just to show the same, and it shows both lines. You can see where Wareham is below the other districts in blue, Bachelor Step 1, kind of right with everybody at Master's 30, above some still above us. Continuing with the instruction line 2000, the one that stands out, we have paraprofessionals, contractual obligations. We have a new position that we've added for a special ed autism spectrum disorder class here at the middle school, as well as we've had some of the grant reductions that used to pay for part of those paraprofessionals that now have to be put into the LEA budget, and that's why the large increase in that line item. Continuing, we have textbooks, large increase, and really the other one then becomes hardware and tech supplies, 54,000, and that is for some changes of computers and upgrading some classroom technology throughout the district. 3,000 accounts. The attendance, system medical, those are the nurses' salaries, athletics, other student activities. You can see this entire 3,000 accounts only went up 7,659, or 1.21%. Maintenance, custodial services have gone up. The building maintenance has gone up because of the age of our buildings. The computer networking has gone up. And I'm not sure, let's see, 0.25 energy manager, that was not in the budget. Additional repair due to age of buildings, and system software solutions that were previously paid for by grants. Retirement and student insurance. The insurance line, both of them have not gone up. They're both exactly the same as they have been in the past. Leases, there is a small increase. And tuitions. This line is not all special education. The first line item, 9,100, has to do with Bristol Agricultural. If a student wants a program in animal husbandry and it's not offered at Upper Cape or at Wareham High School, then we need to pay the tuition of about $18,000 a year out of our net school spending for that student to go there. We currently, to be honest, I'm not even sure if that $162,000 is going to be enough, but with the 8th graders who were asking to go there in 9th grade, but that's, it's difficult to know if everybody that applies gets in, because there is an application process and it's up to the agricultural school whether they accept students that apply. So that was the best guesstimate that we had at that particular time. The other two are special ed costs, either private special ed day schools or collaborative tuition. Hopefully there'll be another slide at the end that will show the total of that spending, for net school spending. This on non-net school spending, it shows our transportation line looking to increase by $116,421, or an 8.5%. And so the entire non-net school spending, we're looking for only a $22,000 increase, or a 1.5. We've taken the replacement of motor vehicles out of that. And so last year we received $1,467,915. This year we're asking for $1,490,268. And the difference in that 116 is we're actually using expenditures from the budget rather than projected budgeted numbers. The non-net school spending numbers over the last 6 years, if you take the decreases, the zeros, and then the small increase that we're asking for this year, the average percent increase over 6 years is 0. So the budget as it is from all of the requests of our managers, and for net school spending, it's $27,091,413, or an increase of $2,035,576, or 8.1% over last year. Non-net, as I just said, 22,353, larger, 1.5. Altogether, when you add up the two numbers, both the net and the non-net, we're asking for $28,581,681, which is a 7.8% increase. That's just what we said. This budget represents the requests of the principals and directors of the Wareham Public Schools, and the comparison between 2011 and 2012 is made more difficult because of the additional EduJobs money that created new positions, as well as the loss of the stimulus money known as ARROW. And I want to leave you with, to decrease the achievement gap, we also need to decrease the spending gap. Thank you.
Are you gonna turn that off?
Yes.